Space Agency Energy and Director of Partnerships for the Genesis mission.
Thank you. Who's ready to get this thing started? Yeah. I think everybody can feel the energy in the room. This is an exciting day. We've got a day full of panels, leadership speakers, breakout sessions, and technical sessions. They're going to talk about how the Genesis mission got to this point and where the Genesis mission goes from here. And that's why there's so much excitement. That's really the meaning. Because everyone here, everyone involved, watching online around the world, here in this room, knows that there's an immense potential and opportunity. That if we harness today's top technologies and emerging technology for this generation of opportunity, if we work together, if performance, partners, interagency colleagues, government leaders, international partners, if we work together, if we do this right, we can fundamentally transform and improve everything from materials to medicine. If we do this right, if this mission succeeds because everyone does their part, we will accomplish the greatest mission, making the world a better place. This is an exciting day. My honor to guide you this morning and to welcome you to the Genesis Summit, the first Genesis Mission Summit. Let's not wait any longer. Let's get started.
America has always reached for the future first. And now, the Genesis mission is set to go faster and farther than anything that came before.
We're in the midst of a computing revolution that is going to transform the practice of science and engineering in America.
We're on the path to doubling America's scientific productivity and impact within the decade.
This past year has been one of the most dramatic accelerations of the prioritization of technology in the history of American government.
In a short time, Genesis has secured major investments from federal agencies, industry, and international partners, and launched the Genesis Mission Consortium, bringing together public and private partners to collaborate on discoveries. We've identified some of our nation's greatest scientific and technology challenges across energy, discovery science, and national security. The world's brightest minds across the national laboratories, industry, academia, and philanthropies are working together to solve these challenges.
The Genesis mission, to me, is an opportunity of a lifetime.
Our growing community of partners has access to the Genesis Mission Platform to leverage AI, high-performance computing, quantum systems, and extraordinary scientific data sets, and the capabilities of all 17 national laboratories, including new next-generation supercomputers. The future isn't waiting. It's already happening.
We have plenty of evidence that this AI-assisted methodology is working. We're seeing it in advanced manufacturing, in the simulation of the electric grid, and we are seeing it in microscopy.
Every new partner strengthens the platform. Every breakthrough expands what's possible. The Genesis mission is unlocking the next era of American scientific leadership.
Now, to get us started today, please join me in welcoming Michael Kratsios, the Director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy. Michael serves as President Trump's Chief Advisor to Science and Technology. I've known Michael for a number of years, and in this role, the Trump administration, he does what he would want for any leader from the White House to do. It provides extreme vision and excels us or pushes us to excel. It also provides us the resources and the top coverage to make sure we have what we need to see agencies and the science teams. So please join me in the welcome Director Michael Kratsios.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Genesis Mission Summit. It is really exciting to be here with all of you today and to know what this gathering represents for all of us. 250 years after our nation's first great adventure, 87 years after the Manhattan Project, and 65 years after the Apollo program, we are once again mobilizing a grand vision, national effort for the achievement of our highest ambitions. When President Kennedy declared that Americans would set foot on the moon, told the world that such a lofty goal would serve to organize and measure the best of our energy. Now, at the dawn of artificial intelligence, with the Genesis mission, we are set not just one goal, but many. Now we choose not to just have one IoT, but the many franchise. America's great scientific achievements have been born of national mobilization, paired with construction. The Genesis mission is the next chapter in that division. We work together to harness AI and scientific discovery at a scale no one else. That is what brings us here today. And that is spirit that motivates the bank. So thank you for being part of it. Many thanks especially to the new Secretary Wright and Secretary Gil and global speaking sources for everything that you have done. When President Trump launched the Genesis mission in November of 2025 as America's premier AI for science, we tasked us with building a discovery engine that would double the productivity of American science. And we heard first heard this role from Secretary Wright from 160. It took a second to figure out whether or not that was a good idea. And I think it takes only someone to play it. They trust, they feel it, Now today, we are celebrating the combination of DOE's ongoing efforts with initiatives from a number of other agencies. NSF, Department of War, HHS, NASA, USDA, NIST, DHS, DOE, and many others. Together, we are proud to announce that we're bringing more than $5 billion in total commitments to AI and science across the platform. The challenges that we have set, we will continue to set with focus America's rights model. This was time to that will underwrite American prosperity, define technical progress, but something. Genesis mission sets out to produce a new operating model for American science, reinvigorating and modernizing the federal government's partner at the beginning of both basic and in short, it's not just a whole of government program, but a full initiative. We see that in the way we do. Just yesterday, I published a report to the president on reinvigorating the national science of science. AI for science and advances the ocean in particular, culmination into the reality of as I wrote there, to realize that Genesis requires us to address four key issues that it otherwise needs to be about. The first is problem. The second is institutional factor. The third is data stuff. And the fourth is the integration of AI capabilities with experimental instruction here. The grand challenges in national effort making up against the today address all of these problems. Put us on a path to achieve ambitious goals. The challenges fall into five broad groups, which cover the whole of American science system. highlight the connection between funding and supply. I want to highlight and represent the challenge from youth. And mind you, these are challenges that span across all the industries. To help Americans live longer, happier lives, I'm particularly excited for the continuation of AI for science sector supply. This is a top priority for Kratsios. The continuation is that you can on university, you can academic pediatrics. The Department of Health and Human Services will be coordinating the evaluation of the FDA support research for leveraging AI to integrate genomic imaging pathology and clinical data, multimodal models, and learn from. This will enable robust models to be for multiple way of and guide precision care and capital trials. To drive reliability and affordability in American health environment, DOE and the Department of Education are partnering with AI developers, material manufacturers, academia, and laboratories, infrastructure owners, and other markets to revolutionize construction manufacturing. AI can run in structural, energy, and material data sectors in multiple capacity factors, meaning breakthroughs in design, maintenance, and cost effectiveness. To rebuild American industrial AI allows integration real-time data, product, process, and marketing. AI tools help navigate the environment directly from the design to the efficiency of the new manufacturing. Especially from emerging threats, whether natural or accidental, or threats that could be by artificial intelligence out and detection. AI platforms to keep everything on the communication environment has been almost by artificial intelligence, characterized by the behavior and develop data, to deal with public policy, or applications. I'm pointing out the directly coming. Although this inclusion in conventional experimental processes become bottleneck, major by AI, we have here is where the drilling self-influence the application of AI to conduct of science that we talked about. And this is a virtual cycle where we are moving up the world. Those ways that all of the native mind, thank you for the feedback of the transparency. You are studying for ourselves, one time, for the medicine. I trust that you feel free. Thank you so much. Next is my privilege and honor to introduce Secretary Darío Gil. Secretary Wright is extremely the best person to the right job. He knows the energy that I'm taking in my job, energy on. He knows what it's like, but it's not in my team. You're going to see these other no science and technology happen. So you have a better leader because ladies and gentlemen, Secretary Wright.
And the energy and feeling in this room is tremendous. I could step down right now and you'll see a highlight of my day. And look at the people in this room. Look at the mission. Transforming science with energy with AI. This is the people in this room and your colleagues across the country around the world. Really are going to transform science and energy with AI. What is it? Look at that. AI is to use this future charges of human capability. Doesn't what those do. AI doesn't love, doesn't like, doesn't understand. It makes humans more powerful. I just thought about it. What this invention is, this machine on planet Earth. Humans are losing the trust. The human body, the human spirit, the human spirit. And I look at what humans can do that I've done. As a computer engineer, I love people. I first learned about how we understood how the world works, about planets and stars, and how we got this understanding of the physical world. I was always deeply envious from late 1800s to the early 1900s, which is incredibly transformation. And I understood the physical world, but I wasn't there. All the cool stuff happened. You know, now we're working on it. I want to go back in time. I want to see their plan. But we are there. We are there. I think we may see, we will see a more rapid transformation of human understanding of nature, of physics, of how to harness benefits and technologies for humans. The next 10 years will be the most revolutionary 10 years in the scientific and energy world in human history. It is an honor for all of us to be here and to be partners in this noble endeavor. People worry about it a lot. Like if you look at incredibly powerful field, what's the bad thing happening? Well, absolutely. That's also up to us. Incredibly powerful, yeah. But it can be used as a weapon. Like, I've often compared what's happening right now to the Manhattan Project, which was explicitly designed as a weapon, right? I think it's the greatest new science ever, until it becomes 10 years, we're about to embark on. But it's transformed the world. Like rapid efforts. We brought your team to an end, an earlier end than otherwise would have. That saved tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of lives. And it's also leading a new era that's said, no more. It's a speculation now. And we have had the last 80 years the most peaceful periods we know of in human history, the lowest risk of climate threat. And it's because we developed incredibly powerful weapons. You developed it in the United States, not a power of the nation, but we make the world. Power looking to build prosperity and trade and freedom across the world. The oldest benefits from that project, AI is the same thing, but even, I think the same for I don't know what you're going to see in the next episode, but I'm going to learn some of that from you all today. But I think it's not more exciting than human health and the field and transforming our energy system. Oh my God. Oh my God. When I look at this room, proud to be with you, proud to be on this team. You're announcing today, and I think it'll be on the website soon, 378 winners. A lot of whom are in the room today. And that sounds like, oh, that's a lot of winners. That's participation trophies. 207 days. We have over 5,000 applications, 5 far away the greatest response to community outreach ever. We had 400 people at the Department of Energy and Department of Lab who worked their butts off
to evaluate all of these applications from different businesses, from universities, from the national lab, to find the 278 that was just absolutely stuck. 99 universities are in the rivers of that. Across our country. We have partnerships with the We'll hear from them later. This will be, of course, a broadly international effort as well. 19 companies, 19 innovative community companies are winners here today. It's too darn possible. We're going to hear about a lot of things, so I got to be faster. We're going about critical minerals. I was in a situation in the last spring, a number of different meetings where methods were being applied against the United States because our supply chain were with a button on as a rare earth element that are used and deliver those reliably to U.S. goods. We've got to reduce that list. With AI and scientists, technologists in this room, we're going to do it. Now the chip design, I was always been trained by semiconductor strategic AI computing. You're going to use AI to compute chip design. Fusion energy, I think that colleagues made several decades ago, 10, 15, 20, maybe 25 years ago, to work on fusion energy. Still haven't got there. I believe that AI we will get there. And our fourth phase meeting of the biggest, the first technology war, it's $60 million over 3 years. It's in the field of nuclear energy. It uses AI yes. Here's the technology that within hacking project. Its main application, of course, is that it's use for energy around the world. And you have to proceed to read recently. Some of them related to AI. We need more energy. We need more energy. The fundamental physics of nuclear are phenomenal. But the portions of regulatory reasons for scientific reasons has held it back. If that's going to change with this giant AI effort, it's designed permit, construct, and operate a nuclear power plant. Build it at half the cost, operate it at half the cost, improve the safety of it, it's massive income. That particular project is not lifting a massive number of industry partners in $200 million of contribution from, I think it cost well over a dozen companies. So this is what coming together and using this powerful field, we can transform the future. We can make the lives of our kids and our grandchildren better than our lives. There is no higher work. That's what the Genesis mission is about. You're about to hear from the leader of Genesis mission, my good friend and partner in all of this, Darío Gil. But God bless you all. Thank you for what you're doing. I'm very excited to be on this rocket ship with you all. Thank you very much, Secretary Darío. Thanks, Secretary Dr. Darío Gil, Undersecretary. Thank you. It's just about something talk about it. Very excited. We have to join us, walk us through the cabinet task. I'm going to do something. Big round of applause. The Director of the Genesis mission, Under Secretary Darío Gil. Thank you. Well, good morning. Yeah, it's so exciting to be with all of you. So I want to do something with you. I want to share with you with a number of scientists that are going to come on stage to present evidence that this transformation of how we can accelerate AI for science. Not a vision, the distant future. It is happening right now. And we are unlocking enormous potential and capability for science and engineering and for the practice of R&D in our country. Perhaps the best known example of recent successes in applying AI to accelerate discovery is what has happened in biology. We're very familiar with the terrific success of predicting protein structure, or three-dimensional structure of protein. Protein are building blocks of life. We have a string of amino acids that actually compose the three-dimensional structure of these proteins, and they can be represented with 20 letters. And there was an effort that got started in 1971 at Brookhaven National Laboratory, worked with a number of laboratories, to map the structure of these proteins. They were using experimental techniques to eliminate that with X-rays, find the diffraction pattern or especially different samples, and create this three-dimensional representation of what biology tells us it's supposed to look like. And at the time it was started, that fantastic effort, it just had about a dozen. Well, it took 50 years of an enormous community, technology, many fields, to assemble a database that had 200,000 people. And then, with the advent of modern AI and large-scale neural networks, it was possible by tuning an alpha, a beta, a potential alpha code to build 200,000 structures. 200,000 structures every year. And this is an example of biology. You see more recent examples of beautiful work by Ryan, at Stanford, where that became and even the language model, where we're going of the system. And it's amazing that a model just trained and now they are scaling this with the ability to model entropy parameters, scare, cost.
128,000 species. So you see this intuition that biology has this complexity that we have struggled as a scientific community to understand. And now we have a new toolkit with which to be able to encode the complexity that is present in these biological processes, and now finally start to tame that complexity, find new levels of understanding. And while that has been the case in AI for biology, and there's so much more to be done there, I want to invite a series of short talks by brilliant scientists to tell you that this is happening across all fields of science. So you are going to see how this is touching AI implications for mathematics. You're going to hear in a second the implications for imaging. We're going to see what is possible to model the electric grid in new ways. And you're going to see what is possible to also transform national security through AI and advanced manufacturing. So first, I want to invite Terry Tao. Professor Tao is a field medalist winner, and without a doubt, one of the great mathematicians in the world. And his contributions to so many areas of mathematics are legendary. But one thing I greatly admire about Professor Tao is that also he has been a pioneer of exploring the implications of modern AI to mathematics. And you're going to hear about the radical changes that are happening in the field as a consequence of the progress of this technology. So it's my great pleasure to welcome on stage Terry. Here you are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here. It's a very exciting event and very timely, certainly in mathematics. Sorry, do I have? Yeah. Mathematics is really being transformed almost by the week. There's an amazing new development in our subject. And it's really a combination of many things. So one is AI, which is providing the raw power, providing all kinds of new solutions to math problems that have stood open for decades, but also paired with formal verification, which is a complementary technology that allows you to check these answers, because AI sometimes makes mistakes, but we can now filter them out. And also modern collaborative tools to allow humans and AIs and these formal verifiers to work together seamlessly. So it's transforming our field very unevenly, but ultimately in a very promising way. Some aspects of mathematics are accelerating very, very rapidly. Problem solving, code generation, automatically formalizing proofs, refactoring, and searching literature. These are they've been almost tenfold, hundredfold accelerated. Other parts of mathematics are catching up. We have only now inventing new ways to collaborate to take full advantage of these new technologies. Traditionally, we work in small groups, one or two. I still use blackboards. It's pen and paper, but we are beginning to modernize our workflows. But we do have many new challenges. All these new technologies are creating new traffic jams, bottlenecks. Peer review is now extremely bottlenecked. We need to rapidly modernize our math education system and support our junior faculty more. But we will solve these problems, and we will be in a completely new era. So I'll skip that. I don't have much time, so I'll just give you one or two data points of how things are being accelerated. This is a graphic illustrating the Erdős problems. It's a set of 1,200 very influential problems that Paul Erdős posed in the 20th century. I solved a dozen of these myself. A year ago, about 300 of these problems, of these 1,200 were solved. Now it's almost 500. It's not entirely due to AI, but if you know this graph, every time a new model is released, there's a notable spike in the number of solved solutions. That has been playing a huge role in this benchmark, at least. I'd love to talk more about this, but I only have 4 minutes. Another place in which we have really, really transformed one aspect of our work is automatically verifying our answers. So for centuries, when you write a proof, it can only be verified by hand. People have to check with pen and paper, referees, that the argument is correct. We have had automatic computer verification for decades, but it used to take years or even decades to actually enter in a proof correctly into a computer and check that everything worked. But it's accelerated amazingly. So in the 70s, it took decades to formally verify a theorem. There was a major open problem solved by an AI in last month, and within days, like multiple formalizations appeared. We completely be confident that these things are correct. So those are two places where things have been really accelerating. And actually, DARPA, is launching a massive challenge to auto-formalize all the extant math literature. And this is really what's making AI input usable. Otherwise, we'd have a flood of proofs and arguments which we can't trust. And so the pairing of AI and formal verification is absolutely essential. And so what we have to do now is identify new ways to collaborate and really take full advantage of all these new capabilities. We are launching massive new collaborative projects, either to formalize huge amounts of mathematics or to generate huge amounts of new data sets, organized on modern internet platforms. We are launching new internet competitions where unlimited AI use, but we verify every single submission in an extremely stringent way. And as part of the Genesis mission, we are going to try to really initiate highly interdisciplinary collaborations with science and industry, really bring AI-powered mathematics to the rest of the sciences. So if I want to summarize where we are in mathematics, for centuries, we're in an era of proof scarcity, where we were always short on proofs. We always wanted to prove, we're always searching for proofs to answer problems. We're going to enter an era of proof abundance, where we have more proofs than we know what to deal with. And so we have other problems in mathematics, other challenges, but this is where we're at right now. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. So my next guest that I want to invite on stage is Laurent Chapon, who is the Associate Lab Director of Photon Sciences at Argonne National Laboratory. Under his leadership, the Advanced Photon Source in Argonne became the world's brightest synchrotron in 2024. And he and his team have been pioneering the implications of AI for imaging, and he's going to show some amazing results. All right. Okay.
Thank you, Darío.
Well, thanks very much. It's super exciting. So I'm going to switch gear and tell you about how AI is accelerating science at the scientific user facility that we have in the complex. So many of you know the US is home to the best scattering facilities. I'm talking about light sources, neutron sources in the world. They generate a huge amount of data, right? So this large machine actually our entry point, one of the entry point into the macroscopic world, down to atomic precision. And they're wonderful. They produce beams of X-rays or neutrons that are billions of times brighter than what you can do conventionally. And this is really, really amazing. I'll show you what we can do nowadays through an example using a microchip. So what you see on this screen here is a microchip. The field of view is about 50 micron. That's actually smaller than the thickness of a human hair. And with advanced X-ray technology nowadays, you can go in 3 dimensions non-destructively and inspect such microchip to the finest detail. So you see here all in red, all of the metal lines. You can go deep, you can probe different layers and things like that. This is really amazing, down to the smallest feature at the nanoscale. Now, the sensors that we use are not recording like a conventional camera. We're not recording directly a representation of reality. We are recording a very complex pattern that encodes this reality. So most of the game is actually to go from what we measure to this wonderful image and video that I show you here. So how do we do that? Typically, in a conventional experiment without AI, which was the case not so long ago, you do an experiment, you collect data. By the way, this facility together, collectively, measure the equivalent of 150 million movies every year. That's a huge amount of data. Then you use advanced computing, mathematics, solvers, analysis to actually get the insight that you want to get from this structure. And so where the experiment side takes only a few minutes or hours, the rest of the data analysis pipelines can take days, and in most extreme case, weeks. So with AI, everything is changing. You do a lot of experiments, you create large data bank, and very like the protein challenge that we heard this morning. From these large data banks, you can build vision model, and this vision model can help do real-time analysis of these massive structures in real time. And so this is an example of the work we've done for Genesis. This is a collaboration between Berkeley, Brookhaven, SLAC, Oak Ridge, and Argonne. And what you see on the top left-hand side, the circular pattern, is the image that we see on the detector. It has nothing to do with the representation of the chip that you see on the right-hand side. And as we scan the X-ray through this specimen, the AI model is able in real time to reconstruct the data, something that was impossible only a few months ago. And so you go from something that takes hours to something that takes essentially real time. This is done at 200 images per second. There's at least a factor 100 in speed up, and it impacts everything we do. I'll finish by saying one thing. I've never seen a transformation like that in 25 years in scattering facility. This is unbelievable, but this is only the start. Once you have real-time application like that, what you do, you can have machine actionable representation of the rest, which is finding features, extracting features, finding anomalies in a sample like that. And once you do that, everything becomes agentic and becomes completely autonomous. And that's the direction of travel in this field. It will impact most of the things we do, whether you look at manufacturing processes, whether you want to accelerate material discovery, guiding new enzyme in biotech. The applications are immense, and the speed is absolutely unbelievable. So thank you again for the opportunity.
So from the very small to the very large. So I am going to invite now Dr. Hendrik Hammond, who is the Chief AI Scientist at Brookhaven National Laboratory and also a professor at Stony Brook. And he has spent his career working at the intersection of high-performance computing and AI and big data. And he's going to tell you about the amazing results of using AI to model the electric grid. Okay.
Okay, so I'm very excited to be here. The electric grid is arguably the most important critical infrastructure, powering literally everything we depend on. The electric grid is also one of the largest and most complex systems humanity has ever built. Right, there are 200 million access points in the US, 50 million transformers, 10 million energy resources, 7 million miles of wires, and much more. It's all interacting nearly at the speed of light. Now, to control this grid, we must very carefully control, balance the flow of electricity through this vast network. If we don't, disaster strikes, right? Outages can occur. However, we must not only control these flows in the moment, but also in hours, in days, in weeks, in months, and even years ahead. And that is really where the challenge starts. Because the future has many, many possibilities. Demand, generation, weather is all uncertain. So when you combine all these possibilities, the number of plausible scenarios which we must consider can reach billions and even more. However, today, we only analyze a few, which is crazy considering that we are in the midst of a massive and unprecedented expansion of our grid. Now, here's where AI can come in, where AI actually must come in. So instead of doing it the old way, taking a few scenarios, each is being solved from the beginning iteratively with complex and somewhat slow physics solvers, we've built actually grid foundation models which learn the direct relationship between topology, demand, and energy consumption. And because it learns it directly, it's much faster. And that's what we need. Now, unlike language foundation models, which are trained on text, our models are trained on the language of the grid. That means voltages, power, frequency, across a broad set of conditions. So the model learns how to predict the physics of the grid, enabling us to evaluate billions of scenarios rapidly, not only rapidly, but also accurately and robustly. Because as you can imagine, grid AI modeling is a national scale challenge. You're collaborating across the board with utilities, hyperscalers, universities. It's really a community effort. Now, we've already achieved speed ups of up to 1,000, but don't worry, we're not done. Without AI, for example, data center interconnection simulation studies take months, sometimes years. Now we can do it literally in minutes. Without AI, we plan and operate the grid scenario poor. But with AI, we can remove the blindfolds. Without AI, the grid's complexity, the grid's uncertainty is a challenge. In fact, it's a threat. It's a nightmare. With AI, it can actually be a huge opportunity. So I want to leave you with this. AI is often considered to be a burden on the grid. But with Genesis, the opposite can actually be true. It is actually a huge opportunity to build the most secure, affordable, and reliable grid for the American people. Thank you.
Thanks, Johan. All right, and my last guest for this plenary talk is Siva Rajamanikam, who is a distinguished member of the technical staff at Sandia National Laboratories and he is going to show you an amazing project in the field of national security. So Siva.
Thank you. Excited to be here. Let us look at how AI and advanced manufacturing can transform national security applications. I want to draw your attention to this project called Ares Tide. Ares Tide is a Genesis mission demonstrator. The focus of Ares Tide is flight test vehicles. Okay? Flight test vehicles help us study and measure the heat and vibrations experienced by a payload. They're quite complicated to build. Takes years to build. Very, very expensive to build. Takes tens of millions of dollars. When we started this project last November, our goal was to have this done in a matter of months. Now, we have the advantage of using AI. We have the advantage of using advanced manufacturing, but we also had the foundation that we have built for past several decades. We have our scientific software, our data, our on-prem HPC compute, which is the best in the world, our manufacturing facilities, and above all, a wealth of domain expertise our scientists have. Now, with that, 3 NNSA labs, Sandia, Livermore, and Los Alamos, joined forces with our manufacturing partner in Kansas City to execute Genesis mission. Now, I want to focus on one aspect of Genesis mission first. The problem here is to focus on designing a payload structure. Given a set of objectives, a set of constraints, we want to build a payload structure. We developed an agent-driven topology optimization approach to do this. Agents go and explore this vast search space to find the best design. Then humans pick the best design out of this to manufacture. Here is an example. The insert shows you 16 different designs that the tool was able to produce. We chose one to manufacture that is zoomed in there. You can see how non-intuitive this design is. This is not something a human would produce. And that is number one. Number two is you won't even consider this design if you don't have advanced manufacturing. That's number two. So it is this combination that helps you. And you can go look at this design in the vehicle that is standing outside in the hallways if you're interested. Now I want to zoom out. We didn't only design the payload structure. We used AI to design the payload itself. We used AI to place sensors on this flight test vehicle. We actually did a flight test at Dugway Proving Grounds in Utah last month. And then finally, we used some innovative manufacturing techniques where this entire thing can be built one shot. It is like a Russian nested dolls, where the whole thing is nested, and you can build this in 1 week, actually. So what is the result of this project? Genesis mission scientists brought the AI expertise. Ares Tide brought the domain expertise. From a clean sheet of requirements, we were able to do the first production in 3 months and the first flight test in 8 months. Now, you might wonder, how does this affect you, actually? You come from a different domain. I'm not from national security. What we have done is taken all these tools, the way to access models, and put it into the Genesis platform. And you'll be able to use the same platform we use to build these Ares Tide. Now, there is this notion that if you have a complex problem like this, you have to choose 2 out of 3, better, faster, or cheaper. With a technology like AI, Ares Tide is one example where you can go for better, faster, and cheaper. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. I find that really compelling and persuasive. It tells you that this is happening right now. And it brings to bear that sometimes when we give the historical analogy to previous moments of mobilization, like Apollo program or the Manhattan Project, of why we have chosen not to do one thing but many. Because all these fields are going to be transformed by science and engineering. So I want to take the opportunity now to share with you as plainly as I can, what is the Genesis mission? What are we trying to do technically? And how will we succeed? What is it? We are doing 3 things. The first thing is we have constructed a portfolio of national science and technology challenges to activate the best scientists and engineers in America to solve those problems, creative new ways with new tools. Second, we are building collaboratively a platform to accelerate scientific discovery. And third, we want to invest in the next generation of scientists that are educated with these dual competencies. Earlier this year, we announced 26 national challenges. I don't expect all of you to read them. They're all being published for a while, but they span the full range of the mission of the Department of Energy. Energy from both nuclear, fusion, the electric grid, you saw examples right now, discovery science, and national security. Today, Director Kratsios announced that now the Genesis mission has 20 federal agencies that are coming together. This is an outstanding moment of uniting the full strengths of the federal science and technology ecosystem. As a result of this expansion and partnership, we are expanding a subset of the national challenges. You see here highlighted in green, areas in which we're expanding the scope of the original challenge as a consequence of the collaboration with other agencies. And we're adding new ones now spanning space, human health, defense, and veterans health. We're incredibly exciting. So this is a new set of the revised set of now 33 national science and technology challenges. We will keep refining and expanding as appropriate, but this now reflects the full strength of these 20 different agencies and departments coming together. Now, with just the original set of 26, earlier this year, we selected 21 of those and put a call for proposals, the RFA that Secretary Wright announced the results of. Today, we're announcing 278 awards with over $250 million of funding. There are 342 participating institutions. You see in the color coding that they reflect national labs, higher ed, companies, nonprofits, and that they represent all 50 states. It's a true national mission representing talent from across the country. I expect all of you to memorize this. When later you go and see the poster session that is next to us, you'll have an opportunity. This is just a list of all the participating institutions. And you're going to get a chance to also see some of the highlighted projects that are being executed. But it gives you a sense of the scale, gives you a sense of the talent that we're bringing to bear into this space and the capacity that we have in our great country to be able to innovate. I want to just briefly highlight an example that Secretary Wright highlighted, Project Prometheus, which is how to bring the power of AI to accelerate and deliver nuclear energy that is faster, safer, and cheaper. I highlighted not only because it's the first example of the phase 2 of the awards, I want to also share with you that we will be announcing the remaining of the phase 2 awards by early fall, hopefully early to mid-September. So we're thick on that process. But this project involves 32 partners uniting national laboratories, industry, and universities. And it is a tour de force of bringing all the frontier capability in terms of agentic orchestration. How do you do persistent digital threads and physics-informed surrogates? A surrogate, an example of a surrogate is what you saw Hendrik discuss in modeling the grid, where you can go and instead of having those sort of ab initio physics-based simulations, you can do something much more efficient than before, as well as provable cyber assurance. So this is going to be a magnificent project whose end goal is to dramatically lower the cost and the time to realize the nuclear renaissance in the United States. If you're a PI, one of the things I want to do for you, one of my gifts I wanted to give to you is each one of you giving you a challenge coin. Because you are the inaugural teams of what will be many teams to come. So if you could just take a minute, if you're in the audience, and maybe raise your hand and stop up if you're a PI or a participant in one of those projects, we would love to celebrate you for a minute. Okay, there you are. Fantastic. We're so full of joy. You went through the most competitive process that we've ever done. There were many also additional outstanding teams, and we wish we could have supported many more of them. But we're very proud of what you proposed to us. So I want to second explain what are we trying to do in building this platform to accelerate science. This is a science-first strategy. So the underpinning of everything we do is based on the scientific method. And we are going to exploit every capability we have on theory, on measurement, bringing our national user facilities and the distributed facilities we have built over decades across America's science and technology ecosystem, the world of simulation, both our high-performance computing or classical supercomputers, and we're also within Genesis, we announced Quantum Genesis, to bring forth the first generation of fault-tolerant quantum computers by 2028. We have as a North Star also to bring and create a first generation of user facilities to support the scientific community. So this is a huge aspect of what we're going to push forth. We're bringing AI models and agents, and the capability that they bring to bear is that they can encode and semantically connect scientific knowledge and realize a dream that has been in the field for over 300 years since Leibniz. That we can take all knowledge and encode it and represent it efficiently in a new representation. These models now can reason and efficiently predict. You saw examples that we experience every day with LLMs, but you saw what Hendrik and others showed with surrogate models, where we can dramatically accelerate simulation. And interestingly and fascinatingly, we can create an act. We have agents now that can write code and can take action and execute complex scientific workflows. Now, with this capability, we are envisioning a future where we create an internet of science. In the original internet, the end nodes of the computing of the devices were computers, and the orchestration was a TCP/IP protocol. In the modern world of an internet of science, the end nodes are both computers and scientific instruments, particle accelerators and telescopes and microscopes and additive manufacturing, and the orchestration is enabled by this agentic capability that can pass through complex scientific understanding and workflows and orchestration. Now, you saw the example a minute ago of Aries Tide, where multiple national laboratories and a manufacturing environment allowed agents to use high-performance computing and simulation codes and additive manufacturing to execute a project that was multiple times faster than what you could do before. Well, if you look at a graph like this, it kind of reminds you a little bit of what happened 50 years ago. In 1969, there was a diagram that looked like this. There was just a few nodes, a few computers being connected to one another. This was ARPANET. In 1971, there were 15 nodes that were connected. In 1980, there were 50 nodes that were connected. And we know where the story goes. So one of the key things we are going to do in the Genesis mission is to connect our national laboratories and our user facilities and our university colleagues through a federated approach and our industry partners in creating an internet of science. And if we look ahead a few years from now, what would success look like across these dimensions? So I'll ask it as a series of questions. Do we, the United States, have the most comprehensive ecosystem of high-performance computers for simulation? Have we built the world's most powerful AI supercomputers for science, engineering, and medicine? Have we realized the first generation of fault-tolerant quantum computers? Does the United States, through its private sector partners, have the best open and proprietary frontier AI models? Have we built the most powerful and capable science and engineering models on top of those proprietary and open models? And have we built the most comprehensive and fastest growing Internet of Science? These questions will be answerable. They're quantitative, they can be measured, and it is our goal as a nation and with our partners to realize and making sure that we lead and we deliver this capability for the scientific and engineering community of our country. And finally, and arguably perhaps most importantly, we gotta commit again to motivate and inspire a whole new generation of Americans to go into science and engineering. In 1957, following Sputnik, there was a piece of legislation that was passed called the National Defense Education Act. And when combined also with the Apollo program, a whole generation of Americans enter science and engineering. Enrollment in PhD programs following the passage of NDEA increased 10% per year for a decade. So it is time for us to also consider the ambition of what will we have to do to motivate a whole new generation of Americans to go into science and engineering. And for that, we need deep partnership with our university colleagues and deep partnerships with Congress. Today, we're also announcing the expansion of the Genesis Mission Consortium beyond industry and philanthropy and our national laboratories to our university institutions. So I want to encourage for universities listening to go to genesismissionconsortium.org. We have prepared documents for us to begin that dialogue on how to engage. We have spent months working collaboratively with many universities to design this. And if you have an interest in participating, you can join the interest form. And I also want to give a plug to attend the congressional panel at 3:45, where there's going to be some exciting dialogue on this topic of what are the right legislative actions also to motivate the next generation of Americans in science and engineering, and also for the Genesis mission. And I want to close by the how. If that was the what, a national portfolio, a platform, and programs to support participation in science and engineering, equally important is that we mobilize the full strength of the nation's $1 trillion a year R&D ecosystem. Federal government spends $200 billion a year, private sector spends $700 billion a year, and the rest is spent by the states, universities, and philanthropies. So from the very beginning, we have created a consortium that can bring and aggregate investment and alignment to purpose and mission through the Genesis Consortium. We have also designed explicitly into our programs that collaboration is required. So if you saw that map before, you saw how many participating institutions were there. Labs, universities, the private sector coming together. And then, and fundamental to the mission, is the partnership with our allies. You're going to hear very briefly a discussion also with the ambassador from Japan that is going to have a discussion with Harriet Kung, and you're going to see how powerful it is to have allies that have a shared sense of mission and purpose. So in the Genesis Mission Consortium, we have well over 40 industry participants and nonprofits. You can go to this website and see it. On aggregate, over $800 million worth of contributions towards the Genesis mission have been put forth. It's a phenomenal recognition of the power of collaboration. This is the partnership with Japan. You're going to hear more about it. $1 billion commitment over 5 years to invest both in platform, the research infrastructure, and national challenges to collaborate to solve problems that really matter to our respective countries. So I'll close now with a call to action. Look, there are few times where we have an opportunity to come together as a country to do something that is much larger than ourselves. It is in that context that we give the historical parallels to previous moments of mobilization. But this time, it's even larger and bigger on the number of participants that need to come together. And here's what I would say too. I am not arguing that this is the only national effort that we should do in science and technology. Far from it. But if we cannot agree on this one, that this computing revolution is transforming the practice of science and engineering, what is so obvious that we're all going to agree on as the second and the third and the fourth? Let's demonstrate the potential where we see plenty of evidence that this is transforming every single field. And this is a moment also for us to come together, to work across sectors, to work collaboratively and realize this premise. And once we learn how to do this again, that we can have a decentralized approach, but moments of unity and moments of working and doing really ambitious things together, we will learn that we can do a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth at a scale that we could never do before. Thank you. Congratulations to all the award winners. We're very proud of you, and we wish you all the success in the world. Thank you.